Some people experience negative emotions and they cannot handle it. They need to get rid of those emotions, and often that means placing it onto someone else. They do this by venting, getting angry and shouting. They do it with controlling behaviour sometimes, and often there's blame. So today I'm going to talk to you about emotional containment and the importance of internalising versus externalising. So what is internalising and externalising? Well, it's how we control our emotions. Now, everyone gets frustrated and irritated and angry, upset, whatever it is. We all feel it, right? We're all human. But how we deal with those emotions separates a good relationship and a good experience with someone versus a bad experience and perhaps sometimes a scary experience. So I'm going to give you some examples just to illustrate exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm going to separate the externalizer and the internalizer. Firstly, Sophie's 10. Mum comes home and realizes that Sophie's had her crayons out everywhere and she's made a massive mess. Now, Mum's already had it up to here with work, and seeing those crayons and that mess brings her up to here. The externalizer will not be able to handle this. They will go into a rage. They'll be like, Sophie, what are you doing? What are these crayons doing out? Why are they not in your bedroom? I've told you many times, don't have your crayons out. She then goes to Dad. John, why wasn't you watching Sophie? She's made such a mess. Rah! This is the externalizer, right? They're ragey, they're angry. You can tell they're frustrated, they're irritated. You find it very difficult to calm them down because they can't calm themselves down. What about the internalizer approach? Let's assume that Mum is now the internalizer. She'll come home, she'll see the mess. She's still had it up to here with work, and seeing that mess just brings her up to here. But because she internalizes, she can control those emotions. So she'll have a moment, and then she'll calmly say, Sophie, you've made a mess with your crayons. That needs to be cleaned up. And now over to Dad. After taking another minute just to keep that calmness. John, have you seen the artwork that Sophie's done in the kitchen? I think she's going to grow up to be Picasso. I know that you was reading your book, not a problem, but just keep an eye on her because she really goes to town with those crayons. Now, you can imagine the difference in experience between the externalizer approach and the internalizer approach. No one wants to be around the externalizer because they're ragey, they're angry, they're casting all that negative energy out. Really, it's their negative energy that they need to keep for themselves, and they need to handle that. The internalizer is a great approach. It builds relationships and it builds the self as well. Let's have another example. You're at work and you're in a meeting. Your manager tells you that you haven't done something that you were supposed to do. It's come up on a report, and you have to answer to that because not only are you making yourself look bad, but you're making your manager look bad as well. They need to answer to this. So they've called you out in the meeting in front of 8 colleagues. So how will the externalizer handle this situation? Well, they might start to defend because they've been caught out, they're embarrassed, they have to answer to their manager, and there's people looking at them. So they might say something like, Joe, you've given me all this workload. We're already short-staffed. Of course I can't do it. How do you expect me to do this on top of all my other tasks that I need to do? Now, all of the colleagues are looking at this behavior and they're thinking, bit of an overreaction. Now, the manager doesn't care about excuses. They just want a solution to the problem. They'd already asked you to do this a week ago. So in their mind, this is poor planning. But more importantly, it's going to stunt your growth potential at work because nobody wants to promote someone like this, someone that can't handle themselves in a professional way within a meeting situation. So that doesn't look great. So what about the internalizer? Well, they're going to handle it with a lot more respect because they don't have the same defenses that the externalizer will have. They hear what Joe's saying and they agree with it. They'll say something like this. Joe, that absolutely slipped my mind. I'm so sorry. It was very poor organization on my part, and I'm going to have that done as soon as this meeting ends. It'll be on your desk within the hour. Much better way to handle that situation. You come across looking much more professional. In relationships, we all have to work with each other. We all get irritated and frustrated from time to time, and we all have issues to deal with. Now, let's talk about the partner that is always externalizing. They can't handle their emotions. When something goes wrong, they get angry. If you bring up an issue, they get angry with you. If you ask them to do something that they should have done, well, that's your fault that they didn't do it. It's this kind of continued disrespect that really drives down the other person in the relationship, because ultimately they're your feelings. And if you can't handle your feelings and you start putting all of that negative energy onto your partner or your sister, your brother, your friend, whoever it is, they're not going to want to be around you. And this is why externalizing is so detrimental in relationships, because they just cast that negative energy, that lack of accountability that no one respects or wants to be around. And so externalizing, whilst it feels good in the moment, it does long-term damage. A better way is to internalize more, is to control those emotions. Try and blame less. Try to get angry less. Talk instead of react. Discuss instead of shout. These are all good things that will improve the relationship and improve your self-growth as well. Because ask yourself, who would you prefer to be around? The calming person that responds respectfully, or the angry person that reacts and abuses? We all know people like this, people that externalize, people that get ragey and angry, and they're not fun to be around. It's not that they're bad people, it's that they have a very poor regulatory system where they can't handle their emotions. The internalizers, those calm individuals, the ones that are approachable, are much more pleasant to be around. You know that you can take a problem to the internalizer and they will help you find a solution, or they will bring a solution to you. It's because they can handle their emotions. They can calmly respond and respond with dignity and respect instead of making their problems your problems. So, if you feel that you're a little bit too externalizing, there are ways to cope with that. First of all, you can just take 10 seconds, right? You don't need to react. If something dents your ego, or it makes you feel bad or embarrassed or frustrated or irritated, just remember, take 10 seconds, calm down before you respond. And if you haven't calmed down, then ask the person, say, look, can we talk about this later? I'm a little bit dysregulated at the moment. Whatever it is, just take the time for yourself just to bring those emotions down, and then you can respond in a much cleaner way. And one message for the internalizers. It's great to internalize. It's really, really positive for our relationships. But we can internalize too much where we don't bring up issues with the other person. And just remember, if someone has done something to make you feel bad or put you in a difficult or awkward position, it's important that we discuss that, because those feelings do need to be dealt with. But it's important to deal with it in a respectful and calm way. And the internalizing way is infinitely better than putting your problems onto someone else.